Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Polkadot and the long and winding road it is on. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So many of you guys probably remember us talking about DOT extensively back in 2020. We discussed this region here as being the key accumulation phase for Polkadot for the market cycle. I told you guys, there's going to be a project that's going to launch at a very opportune time, right when this major market cycle takes off or major bull market takes off. And one of the ones that I thought that was worth really following closely was Polkadot. And I said back then, I think it's going to have a role to play this market cycle. And I think it's already proving that it does. I mean, it quickly moved to the top 10 and it stayed there. Okay, it hasn't even moved out of the top 10. It's still there. And despite the fact that it's been going sideways for a while. And, a lot of people might get frustrated by these sideways movements. I mean, this one lasted well over 100 days, like 130 days or so. So far, we've been moving sideways about 82 days. We have to remember with Ethereum last cycle, that there were phases where we just went sideways for quite a long period of time. I mean, this is about a year of sideways movement, and it looks like it's sideways, but really we had moves down 50%. We moved back up like a couple 100% from that area. We dropped back down 70%. But in the grand scheme of that cycle, it was just a stepping stone to this more major, massive move to the upside. And so with Polkadot, that's sort of I see us in sort of one of these phases where we're not necessarily imminently going up, we're not necessarily imminently going down, but to some degree we're consolidating. And we could see phases where we have major moves to the upside and then major pullbacks, but it doesn't necessarily look something like this. This move here was, from the bottom there to the place that we peaked at was about a 1,200% move. So there could be moves by Polkadot that maybe go up to these levels and then ultimately come back down or something, and we'll still remember it as maybe sideways movement in the grand scheme of the market cycle, where hopefully the Polkadot token is continuing to generally move up. Okay, now what's interesting is if you look at the Bitcoin valuation, we had previously compared it with the Ether Bitcoin valuation. The launch in August, the Q4 bleed against Bitcoin, coming, putting in sort of a bottom near December, coming back up to where it started at by January, and then blasting through. And Ethereum did something very, very similar, basically the same thing. Launched in August, of course 5 years earlier, down in Q4, then back up to where we started, and then Ethereum continued to rally against Bitcoin. Now remember, Ethereum's market cap back then was tiny, and so it was easier to move the market. Of course, Bitcoin's was smaller as well, but Ethereum's was very small compared to Bitcoin's, and Ethereum was able to move very quickly against Bitcoin. This was almost a 500% move just from where we broke this area. Now, DOT has not done that, unfortunately. It did move up some, but ultimately we've been consolidating in this area. So in the same way that USD has been consolidating since February, Bitcoin, the valuation of DOT against Bitcoin, has also been consolidating since February. What I think is interesting is if you look at the Ether valuation, it's actually somewhat bearish. We've been generally moving down. The valuation of DOT has dropped about 58% or so since against Ethereum since early March. Obviously, we know that's not necessarily predicated on a major valuation loss of DOT compared to the US dollar, more so predicated on the idea that Ethereum's been going up so much and DOT just hasn't been able to keep up with it. Of course, DOT has pulled back some because it did go almost to $50 not that long ago. And now we're sitting just shy of 40. We're currently just over $39. So what I'm looking for, is I look at these moves, I try to take a pragmatic stance on it and say, hey guys, there's no reason to look at it any other way and say, okay, well, we have seen a bounce here before at this valuation of Ethereum at around, 11,000 or so when valued against Ethereum. We're currently at that same level. And so, hey, maybe we bounce here. If we don't bounce here, then, I think there's a decent chance that the DOT valuation against Ethereum might bleed down to these levels, which would be about another 37% drop. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that DOT has to bleed 37% against USD. It could just mean that Ethereum's going to 4 or 5K or something, and DOT just can't keep up with it. And so that is one scenario I would be looking out for. And so we know, we could bounce here because this is where we bounced back in January. Okay, we had a little bit of a pullback here, about 28%, and then we bounced. I'm looking for a potential bounce here. I'll be honest, like I'm looking for a potential bounce here by the dot ether valuation. If we come to this level, then it might present a great opportunity. Okay, it might present a great opportunity. I'm not saying the opportunity doesn't exist here, but the opportunity would be even better over here when looking at, say, our theoretical bottoms of the dot ether valuation. And then we look at this because we also look at things like, like the ADA ether valuation and realizing there's these local bottoms of the ADA ether valuation. And so we're just sort of projecting that out and assuming that, hey, maybe DOT's going to have some similar type of pattern where it has these, short-term bottoms against Ether, and that's where it bounces off. But again, there's this sort of intermediate phase where maybe we go back down to the bottom, or maybe we don't. Maybe we do something like what ADA did against Ether, and we go sideways and we go back up without coming back down to these theoretical bottoms. So again, when it comes to DOT, I'm very bullish this market cycle. We're going to have these consolidation periods. I think they're a good thing. The long and winding road, I'm hoping, will take us ultimately to a 3-figure DOT, but I just think it's going to be a journey. And these accumulation phases, or if you want to call them reaccumulation phases, are there because you're going to have people that got in over here, or people that got in, well before it actually launched on the open market. They're going to be taking profits, so the buying pressure is basically just offsetting the selling pressure from these early guys that are getting out. And then so eventually, hopefully the buying pressure will overtake and we'll continue to have another leg up. If we quickly look at say the 20-week SMA, we have enough data now where we at least can look at it. And you can see that we actually already had a wick down to it. So the 20-week SMA for DOT currently ranges from around $28 to $29. So, in a bull market, we a lot of times will look at that valuation to hold support in the event of a dump. We know that, like Ethereum did last cycle, there certainly can be times where we go below it. Look at this. While Ethereum did hold it for most of the cycle, there was one time here where it dropped below. And I do think that represents a really good buying opportunity for the Ether valuation against USD, dropping well below the 20-week moving average in a bull market. So DOT's 20-week right now is 22.27, $28.27, and its 21-week EMA is at $28.63. So that might be a level to watch if there's a Bitcoin dump. But if not, if Bitcoin stays relatively bullish and then Ethereum goes up and DOT's sort of holding its own, and if DOT still hasn't broken out yet against Ether here, then I would maybe be looking for it to do so down here. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Polkadot content. Let me know what you guys think about the Polkadot content. Remember, we have the premium list bull market sale. You can find a link to that in the description below. Make sure you guys check it out. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, click on the bell icon to turn on your alerts. I'll see you next time. Bye.